What is up, guys? DT Ninja here to bring you my Full Metal Panic Invisible Victory Episode 6 review, Rotten Repose. Okay, guys, this episode had some things that I really liked and some things that I didn't really like. Now, I'm going to get to those, but first things first. Okay, Nami's character. You gotta love Nami. Nami is a great character. She's brave, okay? She has charisma. She's beautiful. There's just a lot with Nami that is likable and enjoyable in this episode. You know, there's even a shower scene with her. You know, she kicks Lemon out of the bed. There's this scene where Sosuke explains that he is comfortable around her, and this, you know, makes her happy. So that was nice to see as well. There's this scene towards the end where she goes into a rage and storms out on Sosuke, very reminiscent of Kaname doing that in the first season. So there is a lot with Nami that was really well done in this episode, and I enjoyed it. Nami is a great character. She is not, like I said, she's more complex. She's got a reason to fight. And this is the problem, because it seems like Nami has a reason to fight, but Sosuke doesn't, to me, the way it's shown, because he is emotionless. He's emotionless. Okay, he lost all of his comrades. Supposedly, he lost his comrades. Mithril, okay? He tells Nami they were wiped out, okay? So he doesn't even think they're alive, okay? He lost Chidori. He didn't tell her that, obviously. So she left, right? His own classmates disowned him. Those school, at his school in Tokyo, those friends that he made, they're gone. So everything that he once had is gone. So he should have some inner conflict, some dark feeling, sadness, you know, inside. But all we see is this emotionless state. So, for instance, when he tells Nami that, I feel comfortable around you, she's really happy, but if you look on his face, there is no emotion whatsoever. He doesn't even know why he feels this way. So it's really strange. I feel that he should have this conflict within him to further illustrate why he's confused. So that was a little of a letdown. Sosuke is the main character. He should be, you know, have this reason to fight, and it really wasn't there. So that is one thing. So like I said, Nami's character handled very well. Sosuke, not so much. Not in this episode, at least. Now, we obviously know he's a, you know, expert in an AS unit. We see him fighting in the arena. That was pretty cool. We even see him using the hammer, so we get that next level. So the first one was bare hand fights. Now we got weaponry. So we definitely see him rising in the ranks. So that was cool to see. I did like how Sosuke has, you know, the part where he's like, I hate to be selfish here, but I'm going to call this unit Al2 from now on. Is that weird? So we get the character of Sosuke, but at the same time, there's this emotionlessness from him, and I didn't like that. I didn't like how that was, because it's almost like he doesn't care about his comrades, if they're alive or not. And I'm sure that's not the case, but that's just how it came across. So yeah, that was disappointing. The cheerful tone in this episode. There's this cheerful tone. I did like how it showed Nami and, you know, the crew. They were happy. They're all asking, how do you feel about Nami? They're all laughing at him because he's so clueless. He doesn't know. Well, she's angry at me, and so they're laughing. He doesn't know why she likes him. So there's this cheerful tone throughout, even when until he meets up with Lemon in the shopping district where they're going off together. That's when it got more serious. But like, there's just this cheerful tone. Not even the music itself. I felt there should be a darker tone, especially how he's conflicted, how he's lost so much. I just felt that it was a little too cheerful overall. Yes, so I will give one example of this cheerful tone. So basically, after he wins the fight, he says to himself, "What exactly am I doing here? What exactly am I doing here?" For some reason, he feels this obligation to keep fighting, but he doesn't have a reason for fighting. It's almost like he's not able to remember the reason why he's fighting, which is really strange to me. Now, in the novel, it is clearly shown why that is. It says, my comrades in Mithril, Chittery. So it does have those things, but in the anime, it didn't really have that, pushing forward. It didn't really go off of that. So that was a little disappointing. Let me give another example of how there's this cheerful tone. So like I said, isn't that just me being hated? I don't think that's quite it, Ashlath. When you're not around the paddock, do you know what Nami will always ask? Where's Sosuke? She didn't act like that over any guy she doesn't like. I don't really understand. How about you, kid? About what? Nami. What do you think of her? I like Nami. That's how he probably felt. After all, it was fun when they were together, and he could relax along with Lemon. The three of them talked about trifling things. He thought Nami was beautiful when she stood before the mirror in the morning, towel drying her hair, tying it into a ponytail. She left to go to the paddock. Then why is it that it felt like these hazy feelings he'd been caught in before? It's because Nami resembles her. Energetic, knowing compromise, and without mercy, taking refuge in laughing at Sosuke, carefree, radiating so much fighting spirit. Maybe he was just naturally weak when it comes to this type of woman. It's possible that I like her, Sosuke said in a voice that held no significance. So there you go, guys. Right there, he makes the idea that Nami reminds him of Kaname, but we don't actually get a picture of her. We don't get anything of her. There's this abrupt speaking of her. Like, he says, well, then is there someone that you left behind back home? And so suddenly he says Chittery, but it's just so abrupt. It's like Chittery, and then there's nothing. So there's no... what I really felt they should have done is they should have shown the scene with him being broken, with Al and the Arbalest being destroyed, and where Chittery, holds her hand out and blocks the path between her and Leonard, and she's like, Moino! That's it. It's enough. I'll go with you. And then she says, sayonara. Where she says sayonara, goodbye, farewell. So I felt that would have been better, because then you get that dark tone, you get that more sad feeling, that conflict within Sosuke. Why am I feeling this way? Oh, it's because of her. But why not show it? Why are they not showing why he feels that way? Why are they just making him this emotionless character? So that was very disappointing for me. I don't know. That was just disappointing. Especially when the novel clearly laid it out in detail, the reason why he likes Nami. Anyways, that's just something that I felt I wanted to share. So like I said, Sosuke's inner struggle is not shown very well. The cheerful tone of the episode is not dark. Obviously, it's more cheerful. But like I said, the inner struggle is just not shown. It's really not shown. So let me show you another example of the inner struggle. So basically, then what if Nami asked him the same question that Tessa did? How would he answer? Now, this is part of Dancing Very Merry Christmas, where she asks him, do you love Kaname? Tessa asks him, do you love Kaname? And he says, yes, I do. So here he's saying, then what if Nami asked him the same question Tessa did? How would he answer? He says, I don't know. Sosuke was surprised to notice his lack of confidence. And that's another thing. He doesn't have the confidence, to answer such a question. In fact, he was having a hard time even remembering Chidori Kaname's face. He couldn't even remember her face. Maybe that's why they didn't show it, but I felt they should have at least shown us, some kind of illustration, dark illustration of her back or something. They didn't show anything, so that was just strange. It had been already 2 months, yet her smiling face, that memory, one that should hold so much value, that was so hard to exchange it for another thought, was becoming vague. I can't even remember the color of her shoes that she wore so often. I can't remember which wrist she wore her watch on. But what shocked Sosuke the most is he couldn't recall the color the ribbon she wore in her hair practically every day. Was the ribbon red? He thought it might have been red, but he wasn't completely confident. Maybe it was yellow. Because of the job he had been doing, those kinds of features should firmly be engraved into his memory, in case it was necessary for him to describe her appearance to someone over the radio, to have them at his disposal at any time. Will it be this fleeting? Will he lose sight of it so easily? What's with the serious face? Ash asked. So you can tell he's lost in thought there. But in the anime episode, there's nothing. There's nothing like that. It's like he just abruptly says her name, and that's it. That's the end of it. So, it's much, much more detailed in the novel. It's much more clear in the novel. And like I said, there's a darker tone. There's conflict. So these two topics are definitely discussed in detail in the novel, and they're not handled very well in the anime, in my opinion. I don't know about you guys, but I felt that was just really strange on Sosuke's part. Okay, next thing. Lemon's nationality is not mentioned. Okay, so if you guys watched the last episode, we get the idea that Lemon is a foreigner, right? He takes pictures, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there is no mention of him being French, which he is French, guys. He's French. He's from France. There is no mention of it in the anime. So I found that very strange. I don't know if they're keeping that a secret for later episodes, but it's very strange because in I think it's in page 11 or something like that, Dao actually says, "You're French, right?" And he says, "Yes, I'm French." And Nami even says, "You're French, so this is Monsieur." Like, she uses this French term, so there it's established early that he's French, but that's not even explained. So later in this episode, when Lemon and Sosuke go off to the shopping district, he calls it Akihabara, which is the electric town. Lemon, again, it doesn't really say anything about him being French. So I want to explain in the novel where it's clearly shown, in this episode where it should have been clearly shown. So they're having some food. Well, it's hot out, so he's having a snack, Lemon, and he says, "Ooh, hot. Then don't eat it. No, it's pretty tasty. I heard the French were epicures." And that's just prejudice. It's the same as our conversation about Akihabara. For your information, I happen to be a junk food junkie. So obviously Sosuke is all about, junk food and things like that. But anyway, the point I'm making here is very strange. They did not mention anything about Lemon being French or from France. So if you were to look at him and you think he's American, he's not. He's not American. He's from France. In fact, his name is Michel Lemon, and I think he uses the name Michael, but in French, it's Michel Lemon. So that is something to keep in mind, guys. So the next thing, Nami's feelings are growing for Sosuke. Now, I touched on this a little earlier, but like I said, Nami has this wide range of emotions. She goes from being very happy after hearing what Sosuke said to being concerned about him when he's in jail, and then when he comes out of jail, she gets upset with him because she won't reveal he's hiding something from her, and then she gets happy again when he reveals everything to her, and then she gets really upset when she finds out the real truth behind everything. She gets furious, she leaves him behind, and then she gets worried again about him, comes back, and finally helps him out, decides to go along with his plan. But the problem here is not with Nami. Nami is handled very well, but after she says, I will help you, but if Ash doesn't and the others don't approve, it's a no-go. And she kind of taps him on the on the chest, and it's kind of like, let's do this together. And after that, he's like, understood, Ryokai. It's almost like he's just taking another order. They are kind of somewhat in a relationship. I mean, she does have a huge crush on him, but come on, Sosuke. I mean, he didn't even say thank you. It's just this indifferent response, and that was a little confusing, a little awkward. I don't know how to describe that, because I really felt he should have at least said thank you, and I felt the anime should have at least shown some kind of smile or even gratitude. It's almost like understood, it's kind of like, that's just how it is, and then it goes to the next scene. So in a way, I liked it, but at the end, I didn't like it how Sosuke handled that scene. So, all right, guys. So the next part with Nami is the part where she learns the truth. What Sosuke has been doing, how he has been winning. The reason why he's been fighting for them is he's using them to get closer to Amalgam. That is his goal. That's his end goal. So Nami becomes furious. She becomes furious, and she says these words. She says, "Go make war for yourself. It has nothing to do with me." And obviously she throws those pillows, those cushions, right at his face. "I don't ever want to see your face around here again. You're fired." And she storms out. She storms out of the hotel room. That scene is very similar to season 1, where Kaname basically says the same thing. This is after he returns from a mission, and he had a studying session with Kaname, and he felt that the mission was more important than her, and he goes and tells her, so she's furious. And so she says these words. She says, "If you're gonna blow yourself up, just do me a favor. Take it somewhere else so I don't have to watch you. You know what else? You make it really easy to hate you." And so this is episode 9 of season 1. And actually, if you guys watch my intro, that scene is there. It's that scene where she's running and you see those flames afterwards. That's that scene where he hears this from her. She's really upset. And it's the same thing. She comes back after cooling down and realizes she was harsh. So a very similar scene between Nami and Kaname, and I liked it. It was good. Okay, the next thing I noticed, Lemon has sharp observation skills. Obviously, Lemon realizes that Sosuke has been fighting for something bigger. it's not just this money to live here in Namsak. There's something else driving him. And what's interesting about it is that he reveals to Sosuke, wow, I do have a mission. There is something out there, amalgam. And so he's reminded of it. But what's really strange in the anime, it's kind of like, oh, yeah, I have this skill, but it's the only thing I have. What else is there for me? There's nothing about Kaname. There's nothing about his comrades. There's nothing other than fighting. There's nothing. So it's really strange. And he's like, I have an art. I'm a photographer. I have to observe things. So I see this. There's something in the back of your mind that you're striving for. And I can feel that maybe there's a darker battle coming soon. So it's kind of like maybe some foreshadowing for some things to come. So I did like that. But in the novel, it even goes further. So I wanted to share this with you guys. This is on page 91 if you want to follow along. So basically, actually page 90. So he says, photography, drawing, modeling, and music. Sosuke had met many people in Tokyo that had similar talents and expressed themselves through. They wanted to be rich, exquisite, to have people's hearts dance that they showed them their talent. Then what do I have? Just like I said. He thought he had nothing, but from a different perspective, that might not be the case. Combat was the only thing he was able to express himself. It was the only way. Was dancing through gunfire and being immersed in battle and destruction truly the only way he could express himself? Kaname. So again, he thinks about Kaname. Then Chidori, that time. Sosuke's chest tightened at a dark thought. I'm sorry. It wasn't my intention for a conversation to get so deep. So what I'm feeling here is that he had a dark thought about Kaname. Maybe the part where she's taken, she's crying. So there's that despair again. So it wasn't shown again in the anime. They just went along with, maybe you're a ladies' man. So I really wish they would have brought that into the anime because again it didn't have that dark tone like I said before, but I wanted to share that with you guys. Okay, when Sosuke volunteers for the dark battles, that was all the novel. They did an incredible job with that part, but again, this is where Sosuke, he could have killed those guys. He could have killed the police chief. I mean, he's an expert, right? He's an expert at killing people. So, I mean, he could have done that. He could have taken Lemon and Nami out of there, fleed, he could have done that. But that's not what he was after. He wants to go after Amalgam. He wants to draw them out. He wants to further go on his mission. So he kind of tapped into that Kashim character. You guys know his original name, Kashim, in the Guerrilla War. The one that Gowron always called him. What would have been great is if they had this flashback with Gowron, especially on his deathbed. He's like, that girl and those people at the school, they've made you weak. Kashim, I can't believe I'm looking at the same person. And that's when he just wildly fires at him and kills him. So I really wish they would have had that because then he would have tapped into that character Kashim, and that's why he's suggesting to do the dark battles. It would have brought the anime a little more further than the novel, and I would have been nice to see a little flashback from Gowron because he was a great villain. So the next thing we're going to talk about is memorable scenes. There are some memorable scenes in this episode. So before Sosuke goes off into the arena, we see them together. Nami is on top of the AS unit. She's typing on the computer. Sosuke's there. We get this scene between them. Please be careful, Kyotsukite. And I like that. And then afterwards, after he wins the bout in the arena, obviously there's she goes up to him and hugs him, right? So we get that more scenes between each other. That's really nice. But what's funny is afterwards he's sitting down, she's like goes up to him and she's like, "You knocked him dead out there." And so he's like, "No one died." And he says it with a straight face. It's so funny. He's like, "No one died." And so she's like, "What a weirdo." You know, it's such a great scene because we see that in the first season with Kaname and Sosuke as well. So another reflection with Nami and Kaname's characters. But it's just a funny, light scene. Anyways, next one, like I said, Lemon's serious talk with Sosuke. I really enjoyed it. Like, see through him that he has a hidden motive. There's a mission out there that he's going after Amalgam. But it's more, he reminds Sosuke, "Oh, I do have a mission. That's right." So I did like that. And I also like how it's kind of almost like a foreshadowing of things to come, because if now he's thinking that, maybe that's why he's recalling, you know, the Kashin character, the killer, right when he's requesting the battle. You know, he wants to get back in that mode. So anyways, I did like that. Yeah, so those were the memorable scenes, guys, in this episode. I did like the scenes with Nami, but like I said, this episode was a little disappointing. Like I said, it was a decent episode. There were things that I liked, Nami, Lemon, but Sosuke's character wasn't handled very well. I felt they should have shown a darker tone, shown his despair a little bit, showing his conflict within. It just didn't show that. So anyways, overall, I give it a 7 out of 10. It was a decent episode. I do want to say, however, I watched Funimation's episode 1 English dub, and I gotta say, the English dub is pretty good. But I must warn you, the characters for Kaname and Sosuke are slightly different. Now, I'm not saying that they're different voice actors, because they're the same voice actors, but you can definitely tell their tone in their voices are slightly different, so it's not going to be exactly like they were in the second raid. But other than that, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Tessa's voice is almost exact. Obviously, Kurtz and Mao. There was this scene where Kurtz talks about Mao's uniform, which was really funny. He's like, "I'm blown away by that uniform. Damn!" And he says, it's the way he says it. It's so funny. So it was pretty good. I did like it. Especially the beginning. The beginning's awesome because they kept the same voices. Kalinen's voice is different, and that kind of threw me a little. It's gonna be hard to get used to that because I like Kalinen's voice. He really sounded like he was Russian, so. But other than that, it was a pretty good episode, English dubbed. So, in Funimation.com, you guys can check it out. One more thing, there are 3 new movies that are coming out. They're uncut versions of the anime. And I actually ordered one of the special trading cards, and it has the illustration of one of the DVD covers. So I want you guys to check these out because they're really nice, really colorful. I chose Into the Blue. Into the Blue looks really cool, so I'm going to share all 3 of them. So apparently they're kind of movie-like versions of the anime, so they cover the things, but they're uncut. So I don't know if they're going to be released in English, but anyways, these are the Japanese versions, so I wanted to share those with you guys. And in leaving, like I said, this episode could have been done a little better, but other than that, I enjoyed it, but a little disappointed this week. So, but anyways, next week we'll get some more action, hopefully, and Sosuke will be back in action, fighting, darker. There's definitely going to be some darker things happening, suffering. I can just tell you right now, be prepared. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my review, and I will see you guys in the next one.